Let's talk about one of the biggest, most confusing mysteries in human connection. It's something you've almost certainly run into, but maybe you've never had a name for it. We're calling it the quiet heart's hurricane.
And just a heads up, this might get a little uncomfortable because it's one of those truths that once you really see it, it kind of changes how you look at some people and some of your past conversations forever.
So this is the big question, right? The central puzzle that can be so confusing and honestly pretty hurtful. You feel like you're having a real moment, a genuine connection, but then their actions start to scream the exact opposite. So what is going on there? Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, let's identify the signs. What does this cold shoulder actually look and feel like in the moment? Because these are the signals that leave us standing there feeling totally lost and, rejected.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe they just can't meet your gaze, right when you think you're on the same page. Or their voice, which was just warm and friendly, suddenly goes completely flat, totally monotone. They might even physically take a step back, creating this weird, awkward space. And the most jarring one of all, that sudden switch from warm and engaged to completely frosty, like someone just flipped a light switch off.
And when that happens, what do? We jump to the most logical conclusion. Our brain just goes to the simplest answer. Apathy, indifference. We tell ourselves, well, I guess they just don't care. But what if that simple answer is completely 100% wrong? Because this is where everything gets turned on its head. This is the big psychological twist. The real reason for all that coldness isn't just a little different from what we assume, it is the absolute polar opposite.
Our assumption is that they feel nothing, that we're looking at an emotional void. But the psychological reality, they feel everything. They feel way too much. It's not an absence of emotion, it's a flood. It's an overwhelming, unmanageable tidal wave of it.
So what's happening is their brain has flipped into what we can call emotional threat mode. And this is really important. The threat is not you. The danger their brain is trying to avoid is the possibility of losing the connection with you. It's that potential for rejection that sets off every alarm bell inside.
So think about it from their perspective for a second. Your kindness, your affection, it doesn't just feel good, it feels like a huge risk. And the mere thought of rejection doesn't just feel bad, it feels like real, sharp, unbearable pain. So their brain, which is just wired for survival, will do absolutely anything to avoid that pain.
So that brings us to the next question. What does a brain do when it feels a threat? I mean, what do we all do? We defend ourselves. We build walls. We put on armor. For them, in that moment, being vulnerable isn't about finding love or getting closer. It feels like pure exposure. It's like walking out into a blizzard without a jacket on. Every single survival instinct is just screaming to find shelter, right now.
So how do they build that shelter? Well, the coldness that you see isn't apathy. It's a shield. The silence isn't disinterest. It's a desperate attempt to get some control over the situation. And that physical distance? That is pure instinctual self-protection.
But here's where it all gets so tragic. It's this incredible paradox. The very armor they're using to protect themselves ends up creating the exact outcome they are terrified of.
And this is just the heartbreaking reality of it. Every single defensive move, the shield, the silence, the distance, it's all an attempt to protect a connection that they want so badly. But in this awful twist, those defenses are the very things that push it away and sabotage the whole thing.
So let's listen in on the internal logic that's driving this. What's that voice in their head saying? The first thing is this desperate calculation. Okay, if I don't show that I care, then if they reject me, it won't completely break me. It's a flawed strategy for sure, but a deeply human one.
And then there's part two of this internal monologue. It's all about how they're being perceived. There's this deep fear of looking needy or desperate. So by pretending they're not interested, they're hoping to hang on to some sense of dignity in a situation where they feel incredibly powerless.
And finally, there's this last part, and it's almost like wishful thinking. It's this quiet hope that, hey, if I can just act like these feelings aren't there, maybe, just maybe, they won't have the power to hurt me so much.
Okay, so we've seen the cold exterior, we've heard the fearful voice on the inside. Now let's put it all together. This is the final, powerful revelation. This is the heart's hurricane.
So here's the big takeaway. Here's the reframe. What you are witnessing is not apathy. It is overflow. You're not looking at an empty heart.
You're looking at a heart so full of intense feeling that the entire system has to short-circuit just to cope.
And please, remember this. This isn't about you. What you're seeing is a lifetime of emotion crashing up against defensive walls that were built long, long before you ever entered the picture. This is a pre-existing condition of the heart.
And this is the image I really want you to hold on to. Their heart talks like a hurricane, even if their mouth barely moves. So while their face might be a dead calm, internally there is an absolute storm of feeling, of thought, and of fear.
So the next time you run into that confusing coldness, before you jump to "they don't care," just pause, take a breath, and consider that what you might be looking at is just fear wearing a very, very convincing mask.
And that's what I want to leave you with. With this new lens, think about your own life, your own relationships. Whose quietness suddenly makes a whole lot more sense? Whose quiet hurricane can you finally hear now?